Hello and welcome to the Power Selling Podcast. I'm your host, Danna Crawford, the Power Selling Mom, and you're in for a real treat today because I have this lovely lady that has come a long way with her online journey. Julie Shapiro is a reseller and content creator with over 25 years of experience selling online. After leaving a career in law, she built multiple successful resale businesses across platforms like eBay and Poshmark, focusing on smart sourcing, strong margins, and long-term sustainability. Julie is the founder of Sourcing School, where she helps resellers cut through the noise, work more intentionally, and build businesses that actually fit within their lives. She's known for her honest, practical approach to reselling and for reminding sellers that you don't have to hustle nonstop to be successful. So without further ado, let's get started. Julie, thank you so much for joining me. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Julie Shapiro. I live in Fort Lauderdale, and I've been an eBay seller for almost 26 years in May. And I also sell on Poshmark and other sites. And I love reselling. I do a bunch of other stuff, but I love reselling. I still love reselling. I love talking about reselling. So thanks for chatting with me today.
Yes, absolutely. You've been reselling for over 2 decades. So how has the business changed and what fundamentals have stayed the same no matter the platform or trends, you think?
Well, I think everything's the same, but everything's different. So the basics of you've got to find something good to sell and you got to take pictures of it and you got to find the right buyer. You got to price it right. That's all the same. Obviously, like in the old days, it was harder, but it was easier. So it was harder because we had the dial-up internet and all like the dark ages, and we had to stand in line at the post office, and there was no research. You just kind of had to fly by the seat of your pants to figure out if you should pick up something. We started auctions at $1 or whatever, and they sold for what they were worth. And, digital cameras were too expensive. So we had to go to the drugstore, print out and scan the photo and all that. That was a lot more work than it is now. Now you have your phone and you could run your whole business from your phone, but it was easier because everything just sold. Remember, you would just run an auction. I didn't have any inventory. I would list stuff. I would start an auction and it would sell. I would go wait in line at the post office with my big bag of stuff. And that was the end of that. Right. And now things take longer to sell. So I think the fundamentals are the same. It's easier now in terms of you can research like crazy. AI is making it even easier. All the apps and stuff we have are easier, but there's way more competition. And you really have to, I think the bottom line is what you're selling is your secret sauce in any reselling business. And I've always focused on that. And that is, I think any seller that has been doing this for as long as we have focuses on what they're selling. They're not just like, oh, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. They're really focused on sourcing well and knowing who their audience is. And I think that's been the same.
That's very good. Very well said. It's a big difference. I miss those days. You just, list it and it sells.
Right. You didn't research. You did started everything like at $1, and some stuff would sell for $1, some stuff would sell for $200, and it was
a sure thing.
Those auctions were great.
Yes, I do miss that. But so what separates profitable, sustainable resellers from those who burn out or struggle to scale?
Well, I think a lot of times a lot of resellers are not business people by trade. So a lot of us, I'm not a business person. I'm a lawyer, but I didn't have a business degree and I learned from the school of hard knocks like many resellers. But I think a lot of resellers don't really think of their business like a business all the time because it's fun. You go to a flea market, you go to garage sale, you go to thrift store, you go wherever, you get a pallet of stuff, it's fun. And then you sell it and it's fun, but they don't always think about it like a business. And I've been in a content creator in the reselling community for a long time. And I've seen so many sellers they come on the scene and they're like gung-ho and they're doing great. And then they try to expand. And reselling, I think, is a great home-based business. Your overhead is really important to keep your overhead low. So I still work out of my second bedroom, which during holidays turns into a guest room, right? I have to shut it all down, but I have a storage unit, but that's really my only overhead. But I've seen a lot of sellers like, okay, well, I made X amount of dollars this year by myself out of my garage. I bet I can make 4 times as much if I hire 3 employees and I get a warehouse and I start, sourcing 4 times as much stuff. And then those people end up flaming out a lot of times if they're not really making business-based decisions, if they just extrapolate or they just expand too fast. And, overhead and you're keeping your costs low are really important in this business. And I think a lot of sellers get a little like, oh, I'm going to get an office and I'm going to be the boss. And all of a sudden they have payroll and you have to pay the employees whether or not your sales support it. And all of a sudden they need cameras and security systems and internet and computers and all this stuff they didn't think about. And I think that's one of the things that I've seen a lot of resellers flame out. Or I've also seen a lot of resellers flame out when they just think it's quantity versus quality. And so there are some sellers that do it and they do it well, but they're working like 15, 18-hour days, and they're listing like their goal is somebody must be telling people to list 64 things a day, because I've seen a bunch of TikToks lately like, I list 64 things a day. And that's great if you can do that, but that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to source it, to photograph it, to ship it, to sell it. And so you're better off finding 5 or 10 things to list a day that have good profits in them than 64 things with $5 profit in them. I think they kind of lose sight of the bottom line, or they don't crunch their numbers enough.
Yes, very well said. Very well said. No, it's good. I love it because, I've always been a believer in quality versus quantity as well. So I think that's very important that you pointed that out. So there's good information, Julie. Thank you. Okay, you talked about working less while earning more. So what mindset shifts help you build a reselling business that supports your life instead of consuming it?
Well, I am really only a part-time reseller, and I always have been. So I started reselling. I left my law practice, stay home with my kids, and I started this by accident. This was like a side hustle by accident, right? And so all those years that I was growing it, and I was making great money, but I was really only working a few hours a day because I'd pick the kids up from school and then the whole day would start. Anyone who has kids in school knows, like, your day really starts when you pick up the kids. You got the homework and the after school activities and the dinner and all of that. Yeah. So I only worked part-time when I had kids. And even when my kids got bigger and now they left the house, I still only work part-time because I don't want to work full-time at this business. If I wanted to work full-time and put in 80 hours a week, I would probably go back to my law office or full-time or something like that. Sure. But I think that asking myself every day for years and years and years, is this worth my time? Is this worth my time? Is really a good mantra. It's worked for me. And so if somebody asks me, hey, do you want to work on this project? Or, sometimes companies will reach out to me and be like, hey, do you want to give an interview for us? And I'm like, does it pay? No, right? So everything has to be like, is this going to lead to me growing my business? And in my content creation, is it going to lead to me growing my audience? Thinking like that, and not just like, well, time is free, because I guess, I'm at the age where I know time is not free. Time is limited. Focusing on, is this worth my time? And not just doing things like, oh, profit is profit, or things like that. Profit is profit, or it's cute, it will sell, that type of thing, I think really drags you down. So that's my mantra. It's been my mantra for years. Like, is this worth my time? And it's a good one to have in your head if you're deciding whether to buy something, whether to start a platform, whether to put energy towards a new platform. I'm all for trying new things, but at some point you need to look and say, I was selling on Macari for years and I wasn't making, it was like 0.5% of my sales. And I was like, okay, is this worth any time? No, it's not. The money I was making there, I could make it if I focus more on my eBay store, my Poshmark closet. So those type of things, I think, are things, because we work for ourselves, at least most of us, and we don't have a boss telling us what to do. It's easy to kind of go down a rabbit hole. So asking yourself, is this worth my time, is always a really good idea.
Very well said. So with that said, how do you decide what not to buy when sourcing, and why is restraint such an underrated skill in reselling?
I think it's hard because when you walk into a thrift store or a garage, I don't really garage sale or flea market, but it's the same thing. So you walk into wherever you're sourcing, you don't know what's going to be there. You could find the painting that will sell at Sotheby's for $5 million, or you can find a bunch of crap, right? You don't know. So every time you go in, it's that excitement of what am I going to find today? And there's the scarcity of it. So you find something and you think it's cool and you know it's probably not going to be there tomorrow. So you have to think, okay, well, if I don't buy it, somebody else will. So years ago, I was selling a lot of stuff, but I noticed my profits were going down. And so I decided I would start a sourcing formula in my business. And really, that makes a huge difference. My sourcing formula, and it can be different depending on where you source, how you source, what you're buying. But mine, I sell primarily used fashion. And so I go into thrift stores and my sourcing formula is finding stuff for $3 to $5 that will sell for $30 to $50. That leaves a $20 to $30 profit margin in each item I pick up. That has really helped me over the years. Now, do I buy stuff for under $3? Sure. Do I buy stuff for $50? Sure. But something that I buy for $50 at a thrift store better sell for $300, $400. I'm not going to buy something for $50 that's going to sell for $100. But that $30 to $50 is my sweet spot. It's still a sweet spot in fashion. I've been teaching this in my class for 8 years. This sweet spot, that's still an easy number to sell. That $30 to $50 is my bread and butter. And so when I find something and I'm like, oh, that's a really cute top. And then I'm like, that's only going to sell for $20. I'm not picking it up. Even though I know in the old days, I'd be like, well, it's only $5. It will sell for $20. I'll still make money. I stopped that. And so I made it a lot easier for me when I go thrifting that I leave a lot of stuff behind that I'm sure other sellers would pick up because they're happy with that $15 to $20 sale. Shipping is going up next week. I just posted about this on social media today. eBay is raising Ground Advantage 7.1% and 7.7%, I think. And Priority Mail, if you buy your labels through eBay, are going up 4.1%. And so, you know, that $10 or $15 t-shirt, no one wants to spend $9 to get that $10 or $15 item to them.
No.
So you have to find better stuff. And that's how you have to, in my post today, I said, stop complaining. The post office isn't going to listen to resellers. They don't care, right? You have to pivot. And so find better stuff, pay attention, think about shipping when you're sourcing. So if you find some cool bowling ball, but you're like, wow, this is going to cost $80 to ship, probably not worth it, right? So those type of things have to be going through your head. Once I started that sourcing formula, it made all the difference. And my profits went up and it made my sourcing a lot easier.
Yes, very, very well said. So you mentioned that you had announced about the shipping. Is that on your Instagram or?
I put it on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I think I might have put it on. I don't really do YouTube. I'm trying to grow YouTube a little bit.
Yeah.
I talked about that everywhere.
So just quick side note, how can they find you on social media?
All my links are on my website. My website's really easy. It's gocasachic.com. So they're all there. My sourcing school links and all of my social media is there. I'm not sure if my YouTube channel is there yet, but everything else is there.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. So you guys go check that out. And
gocasachic.com.
Tune in, subscribe so you can be a part of all them tips that she shares because they are awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
So what are the biggest myths you see in reselling space, especially on social media, that never sellers should ignore?
There's so much great information on social media. There is so much great. I learn from social media. I love social media for resellers. Reselling is such a lonely type of job because most of us are working in our house and we don't have coworkers, right? So I feel like my Instagram family, especially, is like my coworkers.
Sure.
But you really need to check the source. So I'm still a practicing attorney. I learned like when I was a baby, like if you want to say something, back it up with with a case law, right?
Okay.
Don't just say something.
Okay.
And if I say something on social media, I make sure I don't just like ask ChatGPT. I make sure it's real. I Google, I reach out to my contacts. So like a few weeks ago, there was a really, really popular reseller and makes great content, but he made probably a video that probably thousands and thousands of people saw. And he said, the scan at the post office doesn't count. If you get the scan at the machine, you know, that machine at the post office next to the box.
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't count. That does not count. Don't use that. You got to wait in line and get it scanned. And I was like, that's not true, because I asked that specific question to the head of eBay shipping at eBay Open. He's a great guy. He sees me coming. He literally turns the other way. He does not. Because I'm always like emailing him. Like, he's so sad I have his email, because I'm like, what's going on?
He's great.
He gave me some great information. But I said, the other day I went to the post office and they made me use that scanner thing. They wouldn't scan it at the desk. And how do I know? And he goes, that counts. Don't worry about it. It counts. And so when that guy made that post, I reached out to Kelly McIntyre, who's, I think, the head of the eBay shipping experience. She's really nice. Yes. And I said, hey, just checking. Like, I got verification that I heard what he said was right. Yeah. And she was like, no, that counts for your shipping metrics. So you can use that little scanner thing, and that counts for your shipping being on time on eBay.
Perfect.
And so there's so much bad information. Like, a lot of social media content creators show solds. So they'll show, like, I saw somebody the other day, another great content creator. He posted like a sweater, and he's like, be on the lookout for this sweater. It sells for $450. And he showed the comp, and I was like, ooh, I got to look for that sweater. But I did my own research, and I went to eBay product research, which is totally different than just looking at sold listings. And I found that exact sale, and it sold for $250. Now, still a great thing to be on the lookout for, but that's a big difference in price. Yeah. So pay attention to who you're paying attention to. And and do your own research. It's so easy now to do your own research.
It is.
And eBay product research, I see so many content creators don't use it. They just show the solds, and the solds can be totally wrong. I don't know why eBay still shows that full asking price. When you go in eBay product research, which is in Seller Hub, it shows what stuff actually sold for the past 3 years. And there's often a huge, huge difference, and it will make a difference in your sourcing. And you could do it on the phone now. So when you're out in the wild, you can do it that way too.
Good tip. Yes. It is important to pay attention and do your research on, especially when people are sharing information. So it's good. I'm glad to know that you do your research, so I don't have to do mine. I'm just going to follow you. And
I always have the receipts.
That's great.
I always have the receipts. I don't ever say anything. And you know what? My videos don't go viral, like, ever, because I never say anything so crazy. Like, maybe if I said crazy stuff, I would make more money on TikTok. I don't know. I don't go viral. I have my boring content, but
no, it's not boring.
It's
fact.
I really try to make it as accurate as possible. That's right. I do the research. I don't just trust. If somebody says something, like yesterday, that app Jamble, somebody posted, Jamble is going out of business. And I was like, that's good reselling gossip, right? And I looked and I didn't see anything on it. And I wasn't going to report it. I'm like the news station. Like, I wasn't going to report that until I got verification. And then I was able to verify it. But it seemed like it was true. But I'm not going to say something. I don't like that rumor.
Yeah, right. The gossipy stuff. That's good. That's good. So you've sold across multiple platforms for years now. So how do you decide to list, and why is diversification important for long-term stability?
Well, I think diversification is good, but I think resellers probably should focus on maybe 2 platforms, because the cross-listing companies want you to think you need to cross-list to everywhere, everything, all at once. Yeah. And they make it really easy. So you could push one button, and if you use one of those apps, and it goes to 7 or 8 different places. But every platform has a different audience. They have different rules. And you cannot trust those platforms to actually end something when it sells somewhere else all the time. You must go and double check it. So that's a lot of work monitoring all of the offers and all of this stuff going on. And I felt like I was spreading myself too thin. So for the past 2 years, I really focused on my main eBay store because I have 2 eBay stores. And the second one, I'm not doing at all this year. I'm just keeping my main eBay store, which is my fashion store, and Poshmark, because I crunched the numbers for 2 years in a row, and like 98 or 99% of my sales were coming from eBay and Poshmark. So I was cross-listing and doing all this stuff, but I wasn't really paying attention to it that much. And I think you can make plenty of money on any platform. You want to do Etsy, you want to do Mercari, you want to do Depop, Vinted, whatnot, whatever. They're all unlimited. I think you can make as much money as you want if you focus on those. But I think if you're doing a little, it's like being like a jack of all trades and master of none is really maybe not helping you.
Yes.
And I think it's hard because some sellers are like, well, I made, $2,000 on Depop last year. That's no chump change. But if that's 1% of your sales,
yes,
you probably could just focus more on eBay and learning more about eBay or do more eBay research. So this year, I'm really I said it last year, and then I added Depop at the end of the year because Depop reached out to me and they did a video with me, by the way. They're so nice, the people at Depop. They gave such solid information, like, this is what our platform likes. This is what you need to do. And I was like, wow, that's really nice of you to, and no one else tells us that.
Right.
And Depop has low fees, but I added it. And even then I was like, this is just something else I have to check and something else I have to deal with. And so I'm less is more this year. And so I'm just focusing on eBay and Poshmark. If something changes, if Poshmark blows up or something, maybe add something else. But I'm finding that focusing, I wish it could just be one. Like everyone I know in their professional life that's really, really successful is good at one thing, right? I have a friend who's a divorce attorney. He charges like $800 an hour. I have another friend that's like, a doctor. Like people that are like really specialized in one thing, really good at one thing, usually make the most money. And I wish we could just be on eBay only, but Poshmark really changed the game for me because I sell fashion. So I don't think resellers need to do everything. I think pick 2 things, maybe 3, and become really good at them and learn the buyers, learn the rules, and give it a chance. So like people are doing Whatnot now. And I think Whatnot can be great. There's people making a lot of money on Whatnot, but you can't just try it 3 times and be like, I didn't sell anything. I'm not doing it. You have to really dedicate some time and energy to learning how to do it and all of that.
Yes, I've experienced that firsthand, and it's challenging. It's challenging learning new platforms. But when you, like you say, if you can dedicate and give your energy into 1 or 2, I think it makes more sense. Well said.
Yeah.
So pricing can be emotional for sellers. So what's your approach to pricing items confidently without chasing every market fluctuation?
I price my stuff the same on every platform.
Yeah.
When I was doing Depop, if I list it for $50 on eBay, I list it for $50 on Depop, I list it for $50 on Poshmark. I know I'm going to get offers. I do price things to take offers. So I always think it's going to sell for a little less. I don't and I really try to find things that don't have a lot of competition. And I think that's a big difference. So if you are selling the same thing that I can buy on Amazon and I can buy at Walmart, or I can buy from 50 other sellers, the same exact thing. I always use a Monopoly, like the plain Monopoly game, right? The one we grew up, just not a specialized Monopoly, a plain Monopoly. That has a value. That has an absolute value. And if you're trying to sell a plain, you got Monopoly for Christmas and you don't want it and it's wrapped in the package, you need to offer free shipping. You need to give a better price. You need to accept returns because they can buy it at Target. They can buy it at Walmart. They can buy it on Amazon with free shipping, free returns. So if you focus on things that are more rare, harder to find, and I'm not talking about like that Gucci handbag. Those are great. I love selling that stuff. But there's a lot of brands and a lot of items that aren't mainstream that people want. And the thrift stores are filled with them when you start knowing what to look for. And so I usually just price my stuff where I want to price it. I do research on things that other sellers are selling. and try to price competitively. But for most of my stuff, I'm the only one selling it in that size or that color, and it makes it a lot easier. So I just
Sure.
price for my profit margins.
Perfect. So you've built a strong personal brand alongside your stores. So how does transparency and education factor into your business success?
Well, I don't ever share my numbers. I'm old school. I don't go, oh, I made X amount of dollars.
Right.
Like, I don't buy into that. Like, I don't think that's necessary. Reselling is the sky's the limit in reselling. So if you have a goal, I want to pay off my student loans, or I want to pay off my mortgage, or I want to whatever, you can absolutely do it. You focus, you find the right stuff to sell. But I don't ever say, well, hey, if you work 20 hours a week, you're going to make $1 million a year. I try to be honest, but I'm a positive person. I am definitely half glass full. And so I'm always just trying to be positive about it, because reselling, I mean, it sounds hokey, but reselling really changed my life and my family's life, because I was a trial lawyer. I had these 2 little babies. We had household help. We had this nanny because I had to go work. I worked like a half hour or more away. My husband was a stockbroker. We were new in our careers pretty much. And we had this nanny, and we caught the nanny in this big lie, and we had to let her go. And I was like, I can't have anyone watch my kids. So I decided to stay home with the kids. My husband started working double time, because he was in sales. So the more he sold, he could. And I started this business on the side, and I really had planned to just be home with the kids maybe until they were like maybe in preschool, because I had a newborn and a 2-year-old. So I was like, oh, maybe when the little one's like in school, I can like go back to work. This was before you could work from home. I probably would have been able to still do my law. Maybe, I don't know. But I started this reselling business, and I was making enough money that I didn't ever have to go back to being a lawyer. When my eldest son got into high school, I was like, I'm really losing my legal brain. It's getting mushy. And I reached out to some attorneys, and I started a consulting practice. I was like, this is what I can do for you. And they were like, oh, that's great. And so I had this like little side hustle of this practice, which I still do. But reselling allowed me to be home with those kids. I didn't realize. I thought you needed to be home. I was dumb. I was a dumb new mom, I guess. I thought, well, you just need to be home when they're little. Once they get, when I realized, wow, it's really important to be home when they're like in middle school. You got to have the ear open when they're in high school, and trying to get them in college and make sure they're not running with the wrong crowd. And all. I mean, raising kids is no joke. No. So reselling allowed me, and it sounds hokey, but it really changed my family's life, because I was able to be all in full-time stay-at-home mom and still make enough money that I didn't have to go back to work full time and like get daycare or any of that stuff. So I really always, I don't know if this answers your question, but I'm always really positive about reselling and what that can do for the moms or people who are retired. My mom was reselling up till a couple of years ago. She's 85. She lives in a community, a retirement community, and she's really nice to people. And they knew she sold on eBay, and they would just give her stuff instead of giving it to Goodwill. She bought zero cost of goods.
That's great.
So it's a great way to supplement anyone's income. And if you want to make it more than that, you got to focus more. But I still think reselling is still such a viable side hustle. It's zero barrier to entry. So I'm just always positive about it. I don't know if that answers your question, but.
No, it does. You're very transparent. And it was, I think that's important, that we are transparent in our history, our selling history, especially when, like yourself, when you're teaching people, you're not fake, you're not winging it, you've been through it. So, and you've got the experience. So I think that's very good advice. So what's been most rewarding about teaching other resellers? Excuse me, let me try that again. So what's been most rewarding about teaching other resellers through sourcing school, and what transformations have surprised you the most?
Well, I never wanted to be a teacher or anything. And 8 years ago, I started sourcing school. And the reason I started it was that was in the days when every reseller was doing haul videos on YouTube and Instagram and stuff. And I thought the haul videos were hurting some people's businesses. It was hurting my business, because a lot of the brands and stuff that I was picking up, all of a sudden, people with, 10,000 views were showing it. And all of a sudden the prices were dropping. Trust me, if I posted something today on social media, like, hey, you guys go run to Walmart right now and get this toy, it's $10 and people are paying $80 for it on eBay. 500 people are going to go do it. And then somebody's going to be happy selling it for $20, right? So that I like helping other resellers, but that public, you still have competition.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't like what these resellers were saying because I thought they were giving really bad information because I was sitting there and I was watching them a lot and I was like, that's not going to sell. That's not going to sell because haul videos are like wishes and dreams. So they would be like, oh, look at this. I found this. Look, it's going to sell for so much money. I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not. So I thought I want to do something to help people, but I don't want it to hurt anyone's business. So I decided to start Sourcing School on Patreon. And my goal was just to help some of my reselling friends. And I had to put it behind a paywall because if I put it on YouTube for free, I don't think the information would have been as relevant. So I probably would have made more money by views, but I don't think once you let something go out like that, the race to the bottom begins. So I started it and I was like, I'm going to charge $10 a month. And my husband was like, what? $10 a month? What? Are you crazy? My husband is not a reseller. My husband's in sales. But he's my business advisor. He was like, $10. I go, you don't know my audience. We're thrifters. Like, we don't want to spend $50 a month to hear somebody's class or something. Right. So I started it and I was like, okay, well, you know what? If I get 10 people a month, that's $100 a month. That will be like worth doing it. And then it's grown. I've helped hundreds and hundreds of resellers and I really love it. So I love helping I didn't realize how much I would love teaching. I get messages every day like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. Like, you really helped me. You really helped me focus. My business changed once I started. And so I never raised the price. It's $10 a month. I put up weekly lessons and I've learned from the lessons too, because I go over what's selling for me, what's going on in the reselling community. It keeps me on top of my game because I look back on my sales for the week and I talk about things that were worth my time, things that weren't worth my time. I talk about what I paid for stuff, where I got it, things like that. And it helps me kind of get better at it too. But I really have liked helping other resellers because I think because there's a lot of bad information out there and because it can be so confusing, especially if you're new. When you walk into a thrift store, you'd be like, whoa, like, where do I start? I've really enjoyed helping other people make more money.
That's fantastic. So how can they find Sourcing School?
GoCasaChic.com. It's at the top of my website.
Okay. So
it's
can you spell that? Could you spell that for us?
Go Casa, C-A-S-A, Chic is CHIC.com.
Perfect.
That's my username. That's where I am everywhere.
Okay, good.
You could probably Google Casa Chic Patreon and you could find it that way too.
Perfect. Okay, Julie, do you have any final words?
No, but thanks for having me. You know, I've met Danna before plenty of times at eBay conventions and stuff. That would be my New Year's tip. Meet other resellers. Go to meetups, go to conventions, meet other resellers. There's nothing better. I drag my husband to eBay Open every year and he's not a reseller and he goes and he's a good sport, but he's like, you people talk a different language. Like, we're talking blah, 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 blah. Like, it's so much fun to meet other resellers and you become like friends in real life. Like, I'm ready to go on a cruise with you right now. Next time you go, call me.
Okay.
Because resellers are like your people. This year, if you don't have any reselling friends, you can make them online and then maybe you'll meet them in person. And it's definitely like always my favorite time. Like, eBay Open's so much fun. Like, I'm so glad they did it in person this year. It's so much fun to meet other resellers and hang out with other resellers. And it's different than the people you meet in the thrift store. Like the resellers, they're not more fun.
Yeah, we're definitely fun to hang out with other resellers and it's like a family reunion when we all get to go to events and everybody's just happy to see each other. So yes, great tip about that. So thank you so much for being here, Julie. I look forward to watching you continue to grow your business and congratulations on your success. It's very impressive.
Thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Wow, was that awesome or what? Julie is amazing. I'm so happy that I've gotten to know her over the years and I get to bump into her at all of these events. It's wonderful that this community is so tight within eBay and online selling, Poshmark. I've never had the honor to go to PoshFest, but hopefully one day I will get to attend. But meanwhile, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for supporting Julie. Check her out at Sourcing School and her website, and continue to learn and grow your online business. So until next time, I'm Danna Crawford, the Power Selling Mom, and you're listening to the Power Selling Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. And if you'd like to be a guest on my show, please email me at powersellingmom@gmail.com, and I will get you on the schedule. So until next time, happy online selling. Bye.